I'd like to call the meeting of the Utility Service Board to order. It is 10:04. We'll start with roll call.
Ready.
Alan Brown.
Tom Roberts.
Jim Kramer. Everybody's here. Has anybody had a chance to review the minutes?
I did. I didn't see anything that jumped out at me. You did fix them.
Everybody would like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
All right. Moving on. Adjustment requests. Phyllis, do we have any that we need to talk about or?
Yes, Jacob Moore is here.
Oh.
Would you, he is one of them.
Thank you all. I'm not sure where I should go. I guess just stand over here. I feel like there should be a podium. If you've all got this packet, if it's easier to just come from the back, it's the third page from the back. You can. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe they have different packets.
It's under account number 60031007. Let them get to this.
Sure. It's my first time, so feel free to shut me up if you need to.
You said it's what, the page?
It's the third page from the back. I'm sorry, they're not numbered through the packet, but one, two, well, pages are sticking together. One, two, the third from the back, maybe.
Okay.
Shows the January, February, March, and April bills.
Yeah, it'd be page 9 if you wanted to count from the front. So that is, this service location is a house on Gould Street. It's where my family and I lived from 2014, well, 2015 really, till 2019. Our second son came. It's a little house. We're just too big for it. So we moved to a bigger house out in Gnawbone, and then that house became a rental. So it's been rented. We had a family that was in there for like 4 or 5 years. They left and had lived in it pretty hard. What you'll see on those bills is there's 2 different events, really. If you look over to the far right column, one is 1592.28, and then, and I'll explain this sequence, then 0, and then 1183.97. So those are 2 different bursts. What happened on the first one, and I'm not claiming to be totally blameless in this, it's just not being an experienced landlord. The tenants moved out right at the end of October, beginning of November, and it was still 60 degrees out. I wasn't thinking about pipes bursting. And I thought I had a guy that was going to move into it and fix it up as he lived in it. That ended up falling through. And then we got those polar vortexes where it was like -7 degrees. And that caused the pipe in the house under the kitchen to burst. I had guys there working on something else, an egress window, so that you can, if there's a downstairs bedroom, and that keep it up to code. That way you can escape if there were to be a fire that kept you from the main entrance. So they were working on that, fortunately. And then they heard, like, was Jake got a waterfall in this place? So they called me. Thankfully, they remediated it. They shut off the valve to the house. And this is why there's 2 different events. They told me we shut the water off. And in my mind, that meant they went to the meter pit and turned off the meter. And I think, okay, well, cool. Let's get all that damage fixed. It was like 6 inches of water in the basement. What I didn't realize is they actually turned off the valve up at the house. So in my head, they said we turned the water off. I'm thinking, okay, at least that problem's solved. I don't have to worry about any pipes bursting in anymore. Well, they didn't turn off the meter. So then later, the meter's still on and it springs a leak. We had just replaced the main line. The good news is the town's infrastructure is not at fault for this. The town's infrastructure there is fine. I do have a picture of it if you want to see it. But When they put it in, if you see the invoice in the packet, Brown County Plumbing put that new line in, and for some reason, the fitting did not line up quite the way it's supposed to. And there's still water running through it. This would have been moved if the meter was off. But it then burst. I got a call from Darla, I believe it was Darla, and said, hey, you got a crazy amount of water going on in your house. Do you want us to turn it off? And I'm like, it's already turned off. What do you mean? What do you mean? Well, I don't know. I'm just telling you, thousands of gallons of water. And I was like, well, yeah, turn it off. We'll figure it out later. And so that's that second one. So there's the $1,500 bill and then the $1,100 bill. The reason didn't come to you sooner with this is I needed Mike from Brown County Plumbing to be able to get back to it and figure out what the problem was. Because I didn't know if he had made a mistake. He was gentlemanly enough to kind of take it on himself and say, yeah, we should have made sure that fitting was better. So thankfully he didn't charge me, but of course I have had, thousands of dollars in cost to rip out drywall that was ruined and pump out the water and do all those things. I am a deputy prosecutor up in Morgan County, so make decent money, but not rich by any means. My wife really can't work. Our younger son is on the autism spectrum, and so she has a part-time job, but she can't really work. So all that to say, if any relief can be had on this, it would sure be appreciated. Because the house is just about ready to be moved into. There still needs to do some aesthetic stuff on it. It probably would have gone faster, except I've got to budget it. I can't pay for all of it all at once. So any help you can give would be very appreciated. I have a picture of where that Mike sent me. I want to at least give you guys a chance to see it if you're interested in it.
The second leak, the one you said where it was a fitting, where was that one? Was that?
Oh, so it's, if you can picture 159 West School, it's right down at the meter pit, right down. Yeah. Well, that's because what happened was the main line that goes from the town's junction up to the house, that needed to be replaced. That's not directly related to these leaks. That's just every 25, 30 years, you got to do that. So back in November, right about the time the tenants were moving out, it actually, in that way, I thought, oh, that's good timing because water is obviously going to be interrupted to the house. Yeah. So, but if they're moving out, I don't have to put them in a hotel or something. We can just do that. So Mike originally did that. And he didn't like fail to bury it deep enough or anything like that. It's just that, because that's what I figured. I figured it was a burst. Technically, I guess I should correct myself. The second event is not actually a burst. It's just the fitting comes apart from the town's, the new installed pipe came off the town's thing. And so it just gushed.
That's the flare fitting that split and was leaking. So, yeah.
So that
Me
one,
and Mike have talked about it.
so that one was, you couldn't discover that was without the excavation.
Right, that was outside and that one, whatever would be on the town.
You know what? The picture I'm looking for is in a text. That's why I'm not finding it. I'm sorry, guys. I'll show you this picture.
Slow down just a little.
Sure. Here it is.
There's 2 leaks.
Right.
The one leak was where?
In the house. The first one was in the house. That was just from the pipes freezing. I definitely bear some fault on that. Because I should have turned the water off. Just being an inexperienced house.
The
So
other leak was outside.
yes. It's on the property, but out in the yard. If anyone, would you guys care to see here's a picture of that fitting? If you.
The second leak was
Yeah.
only discoverable with excavation.
Yes.
Here's
Oh, yeah, I'm from Indiana, but I went to Texas Tech for law school. I was there when Bob Knight was there, actually. I got to meet him when I was there.
there
at the same time.
I think.
I went to the engineering college there.
Oh, okay.
So I think if I'm understanding you correctly, then both of them should be eligible for the sewer credit. Right?
The one in the house, no. The one outside, yes, the second one.
Why wouldn't the one in the house be? Because the sewer wouldn't have been, if it just leaked, we could.
Sewer, yes.
Yeah, that's so we can give him the sewer credit. for
Correct.
both, right?
Correct.
We can't give him the credit for the interior leak, the first one.
Correct.
But since the second one was only discoverable through excavation, we can give him the credit for that.
Correct.
Okay. So I would make a motion or ask somebody to make a motion that we give him the sewer credit and the credit for the full credit that we give him for the second one. Is there there's nothing else we can really do for the first one though, right? Other than.
No.
How much credit on the second water?
Don't know what all that.
Phyllis would have to work up our adjustment. Phyllis has a completed.
So the way that the ordinance is, if the leak was only discoverable through excavation, then we can give you credits.
Okay.
For that.
Okay.
And we can certainly give you credits for the sewer side of it, because obviously didn't go through the sewer. The first one, the pipe burst, there's probably not anything we can do for that one.
Okay.
But I know we can probably set it up on payments or something if we needed to spread it out a little bit. But we can give you as much credit as.
Sure.
And on the rest.
So any help I get.
I'm assuming somebody's gonna make a motion to that
What?
effect.
She doesn't have any amounts here for,
The ordinance,
she did not see.
the ordinance for leaks
Mhm.
and how they're dealt with
Mhm.
is we have. But the parent that it comes from is from the state regulatory agency that looks after all utilities,
Mhm.
water providers.
Okay.
And in order to exist, we have to follow those rules.
Oh, sure. I understand you've got to follow your ordinances. That's.
In theory,
Mhm.
the utility needs to be responsible for our side of the meter,
Mhm.
but the customers bear the responsibility for their side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree.
So in this case, if it's in the house, doesn't meet the requirements, the little boxes you have to check.
Mhm. Mhm.
But since the water didn't flow into the sewer, you can
Mhm.
pretty much tell that's okay. Anyway,
Okay. So we can
I
have.
guess I was just trying to say, all I was trying to say was, we don't make the rules.
Yeah.
We follow the rules that the state
Yeah.
tells all utilities were to provide. That's the way they
Sure.
that's why they slice the loaf of bread in half.
Sure. Absolutely. I'm an attorney. I get it. You got to do what you got to do.
A motion to give the most credit we can possibly get.
Whatever I said second.
Yeah, whatever.
So your motion is what Alan said, that works better.
What we'll say a lot of times if the judge says, so it seems like this needs to happen, and then we'll say, so moved.
Okay.
The first one,
Yeah.
and then the water and sewer credit for the second.
Yeah. And if you.
Sewer
we can
credit for
break-
both of them.
Right.
Yeah, sewer credit for both of them.
And the water
for
for the second.
And you'll bring those in the next meeting, right? We'll have those at the next meeting.
No.
No,
we're
no,
not.
well,
Darla will
we'll
take
take
care of
that now, so
Yeah.
Darla.
Yeah. And then if there's, if she can break the water balance into a couple of payments or something, if that's helpful for.
Yeah.
Well, no, right now, no one's, it's because it's not occupied yet, so it's not incurring any bill at all right now. So.
Okay, you might
Uh-huh.
Just go in there and talk to them how they can do it. They
Okay.
might have to, you may have to sign a promissory note.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but they'll work with you.
Okay.
Yeah, those, we can spread that payment out over, you know.
Okay.
Hey, Alicia, you made a
Oh,
motion?
now I'm sorry, just to make sure we're on the same page. It's all been paid. I've paid mine.
Oh, you've already.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Didn't that help?
Yeah, I'm asking
For credit.
to claw back as much of that as we can
Right.
stand to do.
But it'll be, right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't, if I didn't make that clear.
No, it'll show up as a credit.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't think we can.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't welch on you. I paid it, I was just like, oh, that hurts.
All right. I'll second.
Okay, thank you,
All
Tom.
in favor? Aye.
James Brown.
My name is Jacob Moore.
More.
Yeah, that's okay. Actually, Jacob Brown's who the county's named after. Revolutionary war fighter.
Yes. Thank you very much for.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, Phyllis, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me step. Do you have any other skills that we need to review? Who are you? Matt questions?
And his will be, the last four of his account number is 6002.
Yes, you can do that.
I don't have that.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Poorly prepared.
You find it, the way it's blacked out, it almost looks like 6007.
Yeah, I found it, I got it. All right, so tell us what's going on with this one, what happened?
Well, it is my home, yet I was not there, obviously, when. I've lived there now for 14 years, 15 years. I did have this problem once before. It was in the winter. I was at my sister's recovering from some issues. Anyway, and it did break, and it broke within the house. The last couple of years, I have COPD and I eat with wood. So winter has become a bit of an issue, and I go to my fiance's and I stay with her, and I've turned the last few years this has happened. I've turned off the water in my house and have had no issues whatsoever. This time I did. I have an area, I hate to call it crawl space because I was informed you don't cover that, but it's built into the house. There's no access from the outside. There's only a small kind of block that you can crawl through. And that's where the break was. As I say, I've always turned off the water. I had ever since that issue, and I've never had a problem. Obviously, I think, I'm gonna guess it was around the same time he was talking about that very, very cold spell. I left a little heater on in the basement just for giggles, because there was a space of pipe about this far exposed that I thought, well, you know, that could break, and it didn't break. As a matter of fact, the first time I went there, I saw the water and I could not see where it came from. And I finally, I peeked in there, and what I thought was a 90-degree plastic pipe fitting into the rubber hose, the inlet, was actually a straight pipe that had broken. So that's how I missed it. It's since been repaired. I'd like to move back, but being on Social Security, it's a pretty impressive bill. And they said I'd have to come here for an adjustment. So I guess here I am.
So the crawl space thing, I think, is gonna be the concern with the way that the ordinance is written. It has, for us to be able to give you the adjustment on the water side of it, it can only be discoverable through excavation or not demolition. I don't think is the word that it uses, but so, I mean, that it needs to be something that you couldn't have found if you just checked in the crawl space kind of thing. So, I mean, is it a crawl space, or did you have to remove foundation blocks to get under there?
Somebody has moved foundation blocks, I'll put it that way. It is through the foundation is the access, yes. The plumber made it through. I could not.
You have a picture of it, by chance?
I do not. Well, now wait a second. Because I took one to show my fiance how I missed it. I don't think I kept it though. Bear with me. No, I'm afraid. I have some delightful pictures of my grandchild, if you'd like to see those instead.
So I mean, for us to be able to, to get it, the ordinance reads, the damage is not visible or detectable on your premise except by excavation or some other form of demolition or similar disturbance to the premise.
Yeah, well, I'm
The-
being honest.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
I've always chose to be honest. You can call it a crawl space. Then I plead for mercy, and if that doesn't happen, then I will go on to my own,
I know
what I have to proceed. It's a lot of money, and to be honest,
Yeah.
I have a fighting spirit. And if it comes down, you know, I don't have to live in the house. I don't have to have the water on. I can still enjoy it in the summertime. I came back to Brown County because I spent 17 years as a camp here, as a camp counselor. And I didn't have water in the tent there, and I don't need it there. So
Are there penalties on? No.
no, it's just, I think it's just you're paying, you know, even if you look at, I'm guessing you have well, I know you have different ratings. And you're charging me at the highest rating. You know, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I know $6,700 will buy a lot of lawyers. And I also know I used to work in Indianapolis, Old Trails building. It's right across from the State House. So I operated a pub, opened a pub with some friends, and I do know the insurance commission for consumers is in that building, and I know that they fight for consumers. I don't want to fight. I'd like to come up to a reasonable.
The water go. I mean, how would,
It went right. How was it not flooding? Okay,
how was the leak discovered?
I got a call. Yeah, I got a call. And she turned it off.
And it's a lot of water. If someone was living in the house or you were in the house, did the water run down the hill? How did we know? Other than Phyllis calling?
It was Darla who called
Okay.
and she notified him because she got the readings
Right.
and noticed the high usage, so she gave him a call.
Right.
So.
And I've been checking, I check every,
Somebody came and fixed it, spent $200 to fix it. How did you? Where was all the water running? Outside?
well, fortunately or unfortunately, it's an unfinished basement, some of it there, but the leak was directly above a sump pump. And so, which poor thing worked itself to death, is no longer operable, but I'm assuming a lot of it just, you know, it's literally the pump is about here and then the leak was up there. Well, the space is about that tall, so.
But for the most part, the water, quote unquote, got into the basement. You
Oh.
think?
Oh, no, it's, there's this little bit of mud on my shoes is from walking in the mud in the basement, yeah. And there's still in a low area, a little puddle, but
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
no.
But what I'm hearing is if somebody lived in the house and they were there, they would have known that there was a problem.
Yeah,
Before-
Absolutely.
Before $5,000 of the water got wasted.
yeah, I mean, obviously, it's gonna make noise.
Well, yeah, I'm not trying to put, like I said, I'm not trying
Yeah.
to put words in your mouth or paint a picture.
No, it would have been-
I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, it would have been discovered, I'm not gonna say immediately because I'm not always the most attentive. But yeah, you hear it, or taking a shower, you'd notice the water, or no water pressure probably, or as soon as you turn on the water, even if you didn't hear it. Yes, I guess I should have turned it off at the street. I even have a street key that I had from my old house because I had a water break.
We'll install a valve just outside the house where you can get to it.
Yeah,
A
well,
valve that's accessible as opposed to.
yeah, but I didn't, because once again, because I've heard you're not allowed to. So I used it in an emergency in Indianapolis because I couldn't get them to shut off the water. You know, hindsight's always 20/20. So,
I don't know what we can do.
okay, well, then it's in my hands.
Got any thoughts? I don't know what I don't think we have a path.
I was
Based
just
on what I
wondering if
understand.
At least the 568.97, if we could, the penalty, if we could waive
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I know there's nothing we can do about this fixed valve. But that's not.
Is the. And you're not on town sewer.
No,
Yeah.
no. So there's no adjustment there.
Sewer
Right.
bill and other than figuring a way to spread it out, right?
You're basically, so, and this is why, and I'm not a fighting man, but I'm a bit competitive. And this is where I say, you know, I will fight it because you're asking me to pay over a decade's worth of bills, which is exorbitant. And
But what would you have me do? What would you have us do?
well, I am not familiar with the water industry. I think the first thing, the first fair thing would be a lower rate.
Well, I guess where I'm headed is, all I'm suggesting is, we bought the water.
But yes, you did.
And we sent the water and we represent 1,400 customers. And so I'm not speaking on behalf of myself, speaking on behalf of the 1,400 customers. What would you have those 1,400 customers do?
They should not bear the cost.
And that's where we're at. That's where I think we're at, other than.
Okay,
And when you say the rate is too high, because you're not on sewer, you pay an out of town rate, or the rate's higher.
no, when I'm saying and this is an assumption just from my working with businesses. There are different rates utilities charge to different customers. And they're often based on usage and I do not know of this, but in most utility companies, the more you use, the lower the rate you get. It's kind of it promotes energy usage rather than energy conservation. If there was a utility or a corporation that used massive amounts of water, they would not be charged the same rate as a residential. You know, you have that flexibility. You charge me a rate, which I'm assuming has a built-in profit in it. You know, I do not think that Monroe County, I believe you get the water from their reservoir, does not charge you.
The water from Brown County Water Agency.
Okay,
Comes from the tank up on the top of Lantern Ridge,
okay, and that water comes from,
wells, I believe.
doesn't come from the Monroe Reservoir?
No,
Where's your house? Where's his house?
Somerset.
Somerset, he's east of the road.
so his water comes from Belmont. Okay, that comes from East Monroe, yes. We have water supplied from multiple points,
Okay.
and I didn't know where you were.
Right, no, I
I
understand.
made an assumption wrong.
Right, and the point I was making was not, you know, that you don't buy hot water, but as a business model, I'm pretty sure you don't buy it at 10 cents and charge me 10 cents. I'm guessing there's a profit and to get that,
Profit's the wrong term.
okay, what term would you like me to use?
Well, basically,
We
under the,
cover our expenses.
Okay,
hang on a second, Jim. So basically, under the ordinance, it's pretty straightforward, and unfortunately, it's not good for you in this situation.
okay,
You know, it needs to require some demolition or excavation to have access to it. Also in the code, unfortunately, we're bound under Indiana law to follow the way that we have it written, so.
okay,
And we could certainly give you the sewer credit, but that you're not on sewer, so that's not helpful. If that penalty is applied, I think we can waive the penalty piece of it.
if you guys make a motion to that.
Yeah, so we could make a motion to waive the penalty piece of it, but I don't think there's any other adjustments to do under the ordinance.
And you're waiving the penalty piece because he was in the process of going through this adjustment request.
Right. Absolutely. So if anybody wants to make a motion on the penalty,
I'd make a motion that we waive the penalty.
I'll second that.
so all in favor of that?
Aye.
So unfortunately, we just gave you everything we can. If you
Okay,
want to pursue other, paths for this, we absolutely don't blame you and
okay,
wish you the best of luck on it or whatever, but we'll waive the penalty and that's basically all we can do under the current.
okay. And I don't even know what the penalty is.
$668.
$568.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Very good.
I think, yeah, more than I've not been able to.
I'll get that when we're not.
Let's see, any other adjustments that we need to discuss?
There was one that Robin was questioning.
Yeah.
Because, it would be last four digits of account number 2002. His question was, he's not sure, if the break was inside the crawl space or outside. It doesn't state that.
Yeah, it says water line going into house broke at shut off valve. Shut off valve inside or outside?
I'd ask them to clarify, I think we need to stay consistent with this, so we need to find out where it is.
All right.
Which
And I-
number was that one?
200. Yeah, 2002.
I'm
Oh,
okay
it's
with,
not on the sheet.
Yes. It is.
Oh, you're just using the last.
Last force, yes.
I'm okay with us, pausing the penalties or whatever as we ask, and I want clarification on where this group was
Okay.
before we.
Now, he did approve the sewer adjustment. Okay, but just get clarification of where the leak happened.
Yeah.
Is that our shut off valve or theirs?
But if the valve was outside the house,
I don't know why they put it outside.
well, if the valve was outside, if the before
That'd be
was
true, the
outside,
valve
the
was
house,
all
one
wrong.
thing. It's
I'd have me a
outside
pit
the
and
house.
shut off valve outside the house. That would save a lot of issues if they would put a valve outside the house.
Or one of those flow leak meter things.
But you'd have to, yeah. You'd have to put the whole system in so it would freeze.
So no
We are
penalties.
meter yokes. are-
So I guess the motion I would take on this one would, if someone will make, would be, no penalties. We'll reach out to them and find out where the leak actually occurred. We can't approve the sewer piece of it.
I'll make that motion. The Ellen say.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Uh,
All right, let's see. Got that one. Okay, 9002,
There are two more on there, right?
7010, if you look on the top of the page, that one was our fault.
Okay.
The second one, it ran into 2 months, so that is the second portion up there. You spoke to Mr. Parsons, who just discussed the one, and then the final one is 9002, Robin. We're not real sure of what the sewer adjustment would be on that one. He did approve the sewer, but I don't have no numbers. And that was damage to underground pipes.
That looks scary.
Yeah, it's commercial.
Pardon?
Yeah, it's a commercial,
Yeah.
so. That was the only thing left standing.
So what is the question on 9002?
Oh, nothing, just that he approved only the sewer.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't need to go through any other.
Nope.
All right. All right, moving on then.
Yeah.
So do they have to approve?
So all the remaining ones that we didn't have to discuss, can I get a motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Robin. Let's see, monthly reports, budget revenue management report. Don't have Jarrod.
No, Jarrod did not, he wasn't able to attend to that.
Okay. So we'll skip that. Moving on to operations. MRO and water loss report. What's wrong?
One off to state about plans on that there. Good note on our lab, we started doing all the solar testing in our lab. Starting 1 hour, so we're sending it out to elements. That we do. I was up with Nathan earlier, I listened to, we're looking at maybe called an Orbis Smart Cap. And they'll bring a pilot in.
It's another option to help us find water leaks. It was a vendor we ran across at the American Water Works Association trade show a few weeks ago. They have a product which is a smart cap that goes on the end of the steamer, the 4-inch connection on the fire hydrant. And what we're looking at doing is running a pilot where we rent 25 of those and put them on just about every fire hydrant downtown or adjacent to downtown for 90 days. What these caps do is they talk between each other through the water main.
They actually don't they don't listen to water,
No,
they listen to the sound running through the pipe.
right, the vibrations of the water moving through the line, and based on those sounds, we'll say it can help locate leaks between the caps.
Within 1 to 2 backhoe bucket lengths.
That's their claim. And that's why we've asked them for a pilot. Whereby we set up a grid of these in the downtown region. We want to see how many water leaks we can find and how many truly turn out to be water leaks and how significant those water leaks are. But that's what Robin and I are investigating at the moment.
Is there any cost to this pilot, or is this something they're gonna let us try, or?
They're gonna send us a formal number,
It's 4,000.
but they've estimated that at 4,000 for 90 days and 25 caps. That feels like a pretty good value.
And they were pretty solid on small leaks are easily be detected.
It's all by vibration.
It's not all done by vibration, some of it's done by pressure. That's the other added benefit is it monitors the pressure continuously during the fall.
I say if they have a repair in the street or something, and a big truck comes over and you bang him.
Right.
You get vibration.
It's probably worth the $4,000 to get 90 days worth of pressure readings out of the system.
I think 4,000 is very reasonable.
With the question on B, I asked about vehicle noise.
Uh-huh.
They correlate at a time set. And I think the midnight to 2 o'clock
Mhm.
when traffic is low. And they're correlating back and forth. So you'll be able to notice whether it's a vehicle or whether it's a consistent leak.
Right.
There'll be a spike on the graph.
Now I'm just thinking one spot on, Johnson Street. And every time the water truck comes down through there, where they patched across just before Franklin. I mean, those things are really going like this. Yeah, so. It would make quite a vibration.
It'll be able to tell whether it's vehicles or not.
Do you need a motion from us to do this, or is it something that you've got?
I think it falls within the town's current purchasing
Yeah.
policy for Robin and just take care of it.
We're just letting you kind of know.
Yeah, unless, I mean, if the USB wants to make a motion.
Well, she would say no.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Oh, I was going to get it.
Okay. I
I
don't have any objection to that.
Yes, Alicia's gonna make a
Okay,
motion
I'll
to
make a
approve
motion.
this. I'll second it.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
I,
Awesome. So how it works, I mean, it's, you know, I want to track my concerns. We're trying a lot of things to help us chase leaks. And,
They all might help each other.
They all might help.
Pinpoint this.
Okay.
Or one might, and the rest don't, you don't know which one it was.
Yeah.
Too many.
Well, we got SmartAqua on the agenda in a few minutes, so we'll get that too. All right, anything else on operations?
No, we've been fixing a lot of leaks here this past month. It wasn't really little black lines. Well, we also did replace 8 foot of line on Jackson Branch.
Yeah,
We removed an old black iron pipe that was going across the drainage ditch there, just down from your house.
So just past our house, right?
Yeah, those 3 houses that are up on top of the hill there.
Okay.
mhm.
There's a 1.5 inch line that runs up there that's ancient, it's blocked pipe, it's rusting. And so our goal is that we got the hard part out going across the creek. Now we can continue when we're low on leaks fixing.
Okay.
We can continue on up that hill. Eventually, we want to do that to Bryson also. We've got a leak out there. We're going to try to replace a large amount of it instead of just fixing the leak spots. Eventually, they'll have a whole new main. So that's our goal is, and the guys are on board with that too, as far as replacing as much pipe as we can when we come across leaks now, even the little surface lines.
You want to talk to me about the trees?
That was for them to, this is in a general letter. I just went and looked at these trees behind the houses here. And I really, no, I'm not a tree expert, but I can't give but anything but what I've seen in the photos and stuff like that.
They don't look good.
Huh?
They don't look good.
No, and the time period from when we did the clearing to here was approximately 6-7 months.
Where's this at?
Behind on Jefferson Street.
Up the hill.
Yeah, up the hill on the back side of those houses if you're going out of town, they're on the left side. So behind the houses is our sewer main, and they lined all that. So we went and we mainly cleaned brush and maybe we didn't clean any trees no larger than 4 inches.
I want to give a little background as to why we're even talking about trees.
Yeah, that's not there, yeah. I mean, I read that but are they trying, what are they wanting,
They're wanting the town to pay to have them removed, and cut down.
even though they were dead?
And I would just maybe the town have an arborist go out and look at them also instead of the residents arborist that looked at them and was saying that we killed the trees by clearing the brush away from that area.
Mhm. That first one, you can definitely see the tree is rotten.
I'm trying not to. I'm not an expert, but I've had cut trees and then trees die at my place, and I know it takes longer than 6 months for a tree to get in that kind of condition.
Yep. Well, it's been that way for a while.
All right, so what do you want us to do with this?
I'm not sure where this is at, or is.
I haven't heard anything more, but
You're gonna continue to hear, so unless you give her some sort of response, this person will continue to want you guys to do something.
We need to have someone contact.
But going up the hill, it's gonna be on the left side.
Yes.
Where is this for? We're talking about?
It's right at
Jefferson.
the top of the hill going out to.
that's Hotel Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
past Hotel Nashville, almost to the intersection of 135 and Jefferson.
Where the rumble bumps are.
Right or up, about right in there.
Okay.
And it's behind their property is where our enforcement, or
What do you want us to do? So we could hire an arborist to go look at the trees and say that we killed them or not, or just hire somebody to go cut these trees down and be done with it?
They are our responsibility.
Either.
If they were already dead, we should have.
There was one who's already cut just recently.
Then is your thought, what's gonna stop this is if we.
Is that you all need to write a letter have Phyllis to write a letter because you guys have directed her to, and then that person, if she wants to, will have to come back to you guys.
Is any of it on the right of way of the street?
It's
It's in
behind their
these
houses.
It's in our easement, correct?
Yeah, it's on our sewer easement.
Oh, it is.
Is it worth us getting an arborist to look at it and give an opinion and then add that to the letter?
We cleared something?
We cleared our right of way up there so that inliner could come through or in the easement. Right, I'm sorry, that's a pipeliner, okay?
Difference.
Mhm.
So we cleared the easement of brush. There's somebody saying that that killed the tree.
When did we do that?
We,
In the last year.
yeah, it was
was
last year, September, August, I think.
As a part of the sewer project.
These trees have been that way for a long time.
Okay, so you want us to just write a letter that says, no,
If that's where you wanna go, because if we're gonna continue to hear about.
The one that fell over right there, that's rotted all the way through to the core.
Mhm.
yeah, that's.
And I'm sure the others are rotted through the core.
We got all kinds of trees around the county that are.
So, Robin, is it back like along here?
Yes. Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, 504, it's right where the red and the white join,
Mhm.
somewhere right in there.
This is the house that has the complaints that right in that area, all those trees were damaged.
Mhm.
Well,
I would think it'd be their responsibility.
well, yeah, these trees have died.
Yeah, that didn't happen within the last year.
And for someone that lives across the street, I have trees dying all the time.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
whole backyard's covered with them, except where I've cleaned them up. I mean, it's kind of, whether it's disease or too much groundwater or.
The palm trees died.
What do we have from the Omar? What have they physically given us? Have they wrote us a letter? Did they call us?
She has several pictures, but she's unable to send them to us,
But,
right?
but how, the notice that we have is in the way of a phone call?
Phone calls and she's come in personally.
Okay.
And I've been there on the property. And I did not go down to like what Robin did, but
Mhm. That's pretty steep.
I believe if,
So, did you say you want us to draft a letter or you want Phyllis to draft a letter? What's the?
I don't care, whichever one of you do it. I mean, if you want to direct Phyllis or if you
All right.
guys want to draft a letter.
And we think this is a USB issue as opposed to. a town
Well,
council
as
issue?
it happened during the sewer expansion or the sewer project,
Right.
it would fall back on the
So
USB.
I would ask somebody to make a motion for Phyllis to draft a letter that we take a shot at reviewing to send to the property owner that says, no, we don't believe we caused this.
What do you say?
I'll make it down, I'll motion it then.
Yeah.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. I approve.
Okay, I'm gonna write it and then I'm gonna send it to you to review it.
Yep. sounds good.
Okay. Thank
Well,
you.
the sad part of it is I want to cut down and I probably want to remove. So that's a lot of extra work. And the trees aren't worth anything.
No, I don't see how we damage the trees. So
No, because we just mainly do weed killing, cutting with the weed eaters and
Mhm.
chainsaws.
anything else on the water? or the-
And we did take many down through there.
Yeah.
And then
And this isn't on the.
No,
we weren't digging in any ground or anything like that to damage roots.
Yeah. okay.
And the inliner brought their equipment back through there, they were running down to the main.
Okay. All right, anything else on operations? All right,
Everything's going good here, actually, the buildings and everything's going good.
awesome. Thank you. Wastewater rehab project.
Okay, so progress continues to be made on the collection system. As you notice, the Washington Street gravity sewer was installed. That installation is now complete, everything has been restored. Rehabilitation of the manholes has begun. We expect that work to continue probably into July, to get the manhole finished. Lateral lining also continues. We did finally get a list of, from the lateral liners pre-inspection report of laterals that need further investigation and potential excavation. So we're investigating those and determining solutions sort of on a one-by-one basis. There's 35 laterals identified for the further investigation.
How is this eating into our contingency? Are we still okay, do you think?
I think my gut's telling me we're still okay. Today, the contractor and I are gonna walk the town and look at all 35. To make determinations from there. We think some of them won't require excavation repair at the moment, so I think we're okay.
Are you gonna invite Jim to walk around with you guys? too?
So Jim wants to put his running shoes on, he comes in this.
Get his dog.
Do we need a motion to make Jim go walk?
Motion for that.
So everything's going, we're on time, we're within budget.
Correct, on time, within budget.
We don't have any easement issues or anything, life is good.
No, life is good.
That's awesome.
We'll just
We're
bring
in
it
good place.
to June.
Good.
Do you want to tell them about the big project on Van Buren, Washington that just got completed? The paving and all
Yeah, the
that?
Washington Street gravity store reroute, yeah.
He did.
Yeah, that was related to the AT&T box, yeah.
Right.
Did we have too many complaints about that when we closed the streets or?
I don't think we had too many. I mean, I saw a large cattle trailer try to come through and I was a bit concerned, but he managed to get his way out of the paper bag. So, no, I mean, it got fixed before the parade, so that made everybody happy.
Good.
Would be not, maybe not this second, but it would be a good idea to know where our contractor now is, change order, gross amount versus what we thought we had rat hole.
Well,
Does it have gone, a quarter gone, none gone, 85% gone? Just, I don't mean to review it as much as just, I don't have a feel.
well, that's where I was gonna go next here. We did sign a change order at the last progress meeting that reduced the contract amount. I guess to begin back at the beginning, we had a bid amount that was awarded. And then we had a change order for this gravity sewer reroute around the AT&T vault, so it went up. $300,000, and then this last change order brought us back down about $280,000. So we're net $20,000 over what the original bid award was.
Okay.
In summary,
In summer.
yeah.
And we had,
So that,
on the 18 million, we had a 5% set aside, or at least.
I believe it's 5%, right?
Contingency.
Contingency.
So under 1,878,000, so yeah.
Right.
So we haven't used hardly any of that. Not even a
Correct.
quarter. Okay,
Correct.
All right,
okay, just,
anything else?
I'm just trying to get a handle on not.
No, there's some photos attached to the report in the event. You want to scan through those?
All right, moving to old business, the purchase of the Mach 10 heaters. I know we talked about it last time. I thought we approved it, but.
We never found evidence that you
Okay,
guys.
so that's fine. So what do you want to buy, Robin?
100 of the Mach 10 meters, 5/8.
What's the cost on? $300 each?
I think it was a little over 30,000.
Yeah, I've slept since then.
Yeah, because
It's in your minutes. It's in the
47,000.
minutes, how much it is.
And we're sure those are the right ones, because that's a 2-year supply of meters. If we end up switching to cellular or radio or whatever, those still.
Right, correct. But there, if we buy the bundle, the 100, we get the amount for the meter $100 less. So we're saving several
And
thousand.
they all have the radio transmitters on.
Yes,
About 37,000-ish.
yes.
Somewhere in there.
And they also had, Ben was here when he talked about them being able to purchase some with pressure and some temperature.
So from last month, the meters, these Mach 10 meters have an 18 to 20-year lifespan and read more accurately. The meters are $468 each, or we can buy 100 and get them for $368 a piece. A payment plan could be made from water and sewer funds. It would take around 2 years to have all the meters installed and paid off. Discussion, that's what you had.
Do we need more discussion on this, or will somebody make a motion to approve the purchase?
Robin, you want us to buy it, I think is what I'm hearing.
We're gonna need them, and it's where we're moving into anyway.
I'll make a motion, we buy the meters that just to buy.
The 100 of them.
Yes.
I'll second, I'll just read you through that again.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The intent of recommendation and purchase of cellular meters.
We're looking at roughly 30 grand, right?
I think Ben is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben from Utilities Services is in the process of updating their radio path study.
Right.
In the meantime, we're working on scheduling, their pilot trailer for
Okay.
placement within the town.
We still don't know where we would want to put we still need some more information on this, because we don't know where to put it and how much more coverage that gives us.
Correct, and they do have a pilot coming
And
in, last time I talked to them.
Right. We're on their schedule.
I would like for us to try some of these cellular meters as well.
How many do you have
We
installed?
have two on our main two master meters. We've got, the cellular ones out at Southern Brown and one on Freeman Ridge.
Okay, so we are trying them in a couple places. You get pressure from those also, right?
No, those don't give us pressure.
Okay.
That's just a reading.
I know when he was here before, he said one of the cellular versions had.
You have to purchase that part for that meter.
For an additional fee.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I noticed we have more pressure than we've had. I don't know why.
Shouldn't.
Yeah, it's good.
No, it's not.
Well, it is for us. As long as it's not done somewhere else.
It could be a small amount if the tanks are staying a little fuller. They've been having trouble with their altitude valve down here at Plant Road.
Mhm.
So sometimes the tanks had gotten up to, I just looked at it. It had gotten above the 18-foot limit and kind of gotten up into the 20-foot.
Valve needs some maintenance. It's sticking.
Yeah,
Sticking.
yeah, they've been working on it.
Well, I'm gonna take a look at my meter over the weekend and see where it's at. See if it's.
Your gauge.
Yeah, I
your gauge.
gotta be a joint.
Do you have an update on the Red Barn?
Good red barn.
Red Barn sewer flow meter?
River.
No.
We were gonna check to see if there was a manhole that was isolating the red barn area. And
Right.
no, it was gonna be about 10 grand to put in a 4 meter and a manhole. If there's a manhole that's isolates it, then we can put in a flow meter that's third of that.
And will that be is that for the cost of the town? I'm just
We have
thinking,
to check the ordinance. I seem to remember when we had this conversation with Hard Truth that if the customer is requesting the meter, they bear
They
the
pay.
cost
Yes,
of the manhole and the meter installation.
but if you wanna do it, then you have to pay.
I was kind of wondering where the cost would come from for electricity. If we put it on the other side of Parkview Road, then electricity could come from our lift station that's down there to power the flow meter, but that'd be at the cost of the town for electricity. Unless there's a spot on the campsite.
We'll have to get together and you around today so we can go run over there.
I am now.
You and I will go look at it.
So the whole reason for the flow meter though was because if they have campers that dump, then we need to know that. They're not gonna use that much water, and so He's not gonna request that, why would he request
Right.
it?
Yeah,
The big,
it's gonna be bad for him.
If
If
he
we
requested it.
discover that we got a lot more sewer flow than water flow.
Correct.
because they bring it in.
They bring it in,
Correct.
plus the caps are left off
Mhm.
in the old campground. Campground gets flooded, if you're just.
And he's,
Don't think it'll-
yeah, and
sewer.
he's getting ready to like open up and make it all real, so, I mean,
But refresh the board's memory here, maybe, how did this discussion begin?
Mainly because I was concerned with your campers bringing in extra sewage that's not registered with water.
We're worried about the RVs.
Yeah.
Dumping more sewer and taking water, and I think we're worried about when that floods, and we know it floods, all of that getting sucked into our sewer system.
Okay,
And
we initiated, it. We the town
Yes.
initiated this.
those campsites are the only one on, those are the only, that's the only RV place that's on the city sewer.
at this time, yes.
Mhm.
I was down all day.
And you think, and a flow meter, adding a flow meter is ballpark, how much money?
Well, it's either inexpensive if there's a manhole, and it's 10 grand if it's not. So we don't know that answer.
Would be cheaper to put a manhole in there and do it.
Cheaper if there's a manhole available.
I think there is a manhole on her side, I can't remember how deep it is. And
So that's Robin's gonna address.
Nothing in our. Far as them.
Not if we're requesting.
Okay.
They request.
Let me back up. If we have, if we have campsite RV place on our sewer system, I've learned enough already that it needs to be a requirement when they get a permit or a license to go do that. They have to have some kind of a flow meter to tell us what they're providing. Because, you know, for a fact that how much water they use is not an indicator like it is on most stuff.
So we would need to.
Now, I don't know if that's a town ordinance or what that
Mhm.
is, but somehow.
It would be a recommendation from you guys to the town to do that, which is very smart.
I don't know that it would apply to the red barn since it's already there, so it would be if anybody else wants to. So in that scenario, we would, what Sandy said, make a recommendation to create an ordinance.
Well, and that, yeah, I understand the grandfather part of it. Why wouldn't we ask them to? I guess the only choice you have is to go catch them. And then say, naughty, naughty, now you have to do that. I don't know. I don't know why we would need to provide for that, but we need it, but I don't know why. Whether they split the cost of whatever, I guess I don't know what control we have over them at all.
And I think the issue is they're already hooked up to our sewer. I mean, it's already done. So it's not new, there's nothing new about it, so.
I don't think,
They don't have a license every year.
they just get a business license every year, but I don't think that was ever thought through when it was around however many years ago. 20
No, that's
years ago.
okay too. I get that.
So, I mean, we can, make a recommendation to town council to create a new ordinance for future, any future. I wouldn't limit it to RV parks. I'm not sure what else you would include, but, future additions to town. Yeah. But we could also capture that with if we try to do the annexation ordinance again as well. So I think we should do an ordinance, and Jim and I have talked about this, that it got cut from the last time that we put it in, but I think we should do an ordinance that ties providing town services like sewer to an annexation requirement. And then we could capture the need for RV park sewer flow meters in that ordinance as well, I think. I'll put them together. I want to propose, if we're going to propose those, I want to make sure that we time it in a way that it doesn't look like we're proposing it for one particular thing, but since that's off the table right now, I don't think that's a concern like it was before. There is no pending RV park that I'm aware of. So we probably.
Correct, at this time, right.
So it would probably be a good time to push both of those through because it's not, they can't be perceived as impacting somebody in particular.
Could you not add to the existing sewer use ordinance, a change in property use? Could justify.
Yeah, a change in existing, a change in use to a property that is currently supplied.
Might make it cleaner than creating a whole new ordinance and then it disappears because it's outside the sewer use ordinance, we didn't know about it.
I think we should, as a board, recommend the annexation piece again. And I think we should recommend the sewer flow meters for any user whose water and sewer aren't going to be proportional. Right.
Like the brewery or
Like
the
a brewery, like a distillery, like an RV park.
Probably a better way to do it, yeah.
Yeah, so, because,
Or
yeah,
the
I
state
think,
park. State park
Yeah.
is the same way.
yeah, anytime that you have
Consume a
a
lot more water.
proportionality isn't consistent between water and sewer, then
Right.
we should.
It's a good idea.
But you don't think you can retro that? You can't go back and ask them to, if you want to continue
I think,
to operate a business.
I think to Nathan's point, if we did it, if there was a change in the use of the
Change in
property, I
property
think we could tie it to that.
Mhm.
I don't think we want to try to force it on somebody that's not changed it or anything else. But I think that I would like to see what the cost of this is, you know, if we've got a manhole cover, it's not very expensive, then if it's $1,000, then, you know, it's not a big deal versus 10 grand. We've got to decide what we want to do, but sure. So what would we, how do I summarize that into a motion?
Me saying whatever you said.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be writable.
Just make it. What I would like to propose, we need to decide whether we are, as a board, are in agreement of this.
Right.
I would like for us to, either create a new ordinance or amend an existing ordinance, to include a requirement for annexation, for, sewer. And we may put in a built-in exception for not one, but, so annexation required for sewer, and a sewer flow meter required when there's an expected disproportionate use between the water use and sewer use. And we would have,
Is that,
I think I would,
black and white enough?
Did we run for that?
The,
the disproportionate use.
yeah, is
I
that
think
black
it
and white
is. I mean,
enough?
there may be a better way to word it, but what I want to try to capture is, you know, the brewery is buying more water than they're sending down the drain,
Mhm.
they think. You know, a car wash, not a car wash wouldn't count. Anytime we're bottling a liquid and selling it, that would count. And their RV park is potentially that.
Now, the language in your ordinance current simply states, when required and deemed appropriate by the town.
Okay. Then we may not need to add any, but that might cover it.
Tell me that again, Nathan.
For sampling manhole requirements, when required and deemed appropriate by the town.
So that's sampling mail, is that the same
Sampling
thing as
mail.
a flow- sewer flow?
Yeah, when required and deemed appropriate by the town, the owner of any property serviced by the town sewer system shall install a suitable control manhole together with such necessary blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so Jim, we may be able to go back in time on that.
Yeah, well, that's very broad, when required and deemed appropriate.
Cellular wouldn't, we would need that.
and I think,
I mean,
we could, rather than the words disproportionate on the water and sewer, what you really need is when water usage is not an accurate measure of sewage. I mean, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Because that's what we do right now. You bill for sewer based on water usage.
But
And
then,
what we could add in the ordinance is that, this is required. So we've got this, some language in there that we could add, if we need to, we could add language that said if the water usage doesn't match the sewer usage, then it's required.
but I've watered my gardens and it's disproportionate. That's exactly right. Yeah,
Sure.
right. Because I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I,
Franklin credit, a lot of towns do that.
Mhm.
Well, we
We don't.
so
do,
if
we
you
can
want,
grant the little thing. right?
if you want to water your garden or irrigation system, then you
Oh,
get a
sure.
whole, you get a whole separate line. If it means that much to you.
Or pay for a sewer. flow meter.
No, we've never made that an option.
An irrigation meter, you mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what they did used to. What you find though is that the rate you pay on the irrigation water is greater than the rate you pay for the used water.
So I just want you to be careful how you word that,
Yeah.
because.
Well, is the ordinance that Nathan just read enough for us to cover it? We don't need to worry about it?
Seems to me it is.
I feel like it's not, from an engineering standpoint.
Then I will amend my.
Good, I didn't want to repeat that.
Okay, so you're gonna start over.
I will start over. This was unrelated to the sewer flow. I think we should do an ordinance that ties annexation to the sewer exchange.
Ties annexation to town sewer utility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Expansion or any hookup. If
New-
it's out of town, they have to
new
be
ser-
annexed
new
in.
Service. We tied with water as well, I guess, if it's new service for all. So,
We should have hurried and left the doors. You taking all this stuff?
All right, here's what I've written. Somebody's making a motion to tie annexation to. Tie annexation into the town for new sewer utility service.
Yes.
Author, myself.
That's what you said,
Motion
Alicia?
made, yes.
We answered our own question.
I have one question. On our 800 sewer users, are all of those within the town today?
I think there's just a couple that are not, right?
No.
Well, who that could be?
Okay, I was like, that would be me. I got one.
So how do you handle,
New.
It says new.
I understand the new part, but I mean,
Precedent, you're questioning precedent.
just asking a question, if you got 800 people on the sewer and only 500 of them live in town, then have you already,
I don't think there's that many of a difference.
Yeah.
Is there like 5?
Yeah, there's not very many at all.
Does that make a difference to you, Jim? If it's 5 people versus 300?
Pretty big difference.
this was asking a question.
I know, but does that make a difference?
Where does the sewage from the Opry go?
It's not hooked up yet, so right now it's just going in the ground.
And the other one is Big Woods.
Our truth is on our sewer.
And it's in town.
The Opry outside, way out, have an issue with orders.
No.
Or I don't have an issue with the motion. I just was raising a question. Yeah, there's all those things doing something different. Somebody would say we're doing it. Well, we'll look anyway. But I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that it is a way for the town to grow its borders as we expand our sewer system and incentivize people.
That's usually.
Say that would
Yeah.
be
I don't,
music center and the east out.
And the growing
Yes.
and the growing the borders is really the ability to tax.
increase the tax base for the town. I don't, here's another way to put it. I don't think the town should be paying to put in utilities for anyone is not in the town. It doesn't make sense. It's not sensible to me to ask the town to pay their own sewer to my house, and my house isn't.
Right.
It's not a.
But you would pay for that sewer to be run to your house if you were out of town, okay?
Correct.
So you would pay for it, the town's not paying for it.
Right, but if the town decides to run a sewer line, let's say to Annandale, which is one of our plans.
Right.
You know, if we're gonna run that out there, the only way I see that as a benefit for the town is if we require annexation to hook onto it. Now, maybe nobody will want to, and we'll never do it, that's fine, but if you want that sewer service and you want the town to go ahead, you should be annexed in the town in order to take advantage of the town's.
All right, now,
To me, that is a quote unquote town council decision.
Yeah, and we're just making a recommendation to town council to make that.
Mhm.
ordinance.
Tom, would you say some aren't? What are you talking about?
Well, I'm not gonna mention the particular address, but there is one that is not on city sewer, that's in town.
Is it,
On one.
is it condemned?
Pardon?
Is that building condemned?
No. That's all I'll say.
Strike that from the minutes.
So Alicia made a motion, I think, Tom, did you second it, or? Sure. All in favor? You okay with it, Jim? I'm okay with it. All right, we sidetracked. So speaking of next, Knottbone Sewer Extension. Do we have anything new on that? I have not talked to anybody there yet, so.
No, it still remains the same. We're gonna have to make the, they're gonna have to show interest.
Yeah.
You guys.
Okay. I will try to have a meeting with him at some point. I just was not able to in the last few weeks, so. Moving on, the SmartAqua report.
All right, I've been in, communication with Elio this week. He has everything he needs. He told me he would have the second calibration done soon.
Okay.
So I would suspect we'll have it here in the next week or two. And then I think the smart cap will go a long way in trying to figure out some of this water loss and things like that.
Do we know what the yearly subscription price range of this is?
Yeah, they gave us a number, wasn't it like, didn't they send us a proposal? Yeah, they sent us a proposal, $700 maybe. But they sent it to us maybe I don't have it in front of me, but
Let me
about
see.
4 months ago, maybe 4 months ago.
So 700?
Oh, it's 700. Doesn't that sound right? Usually numbers stick in my head, and I don't know why 700 is sticking in. Maybe that's something different. It wasn't a big number.
It was last year or this year?
It would have been.
It was in March.
March or February.
I don't know that he actually says anything in writing. He verbally.
Maybe
gave
he
us
verbally
numbers.
told us that.
SmartAqua proposal in February.
There you go. Pretty sure there's that.
So was that a yearly? Year.
Right there.
There it is. 8,000.
And
Annual.
Initial implementation.
that's a one-time cost.
So it's 15
Plus
to
8.
install plus 8 years.
15 plus 8, so I was way.
Okay.
That's why he's not doing the financials.
That's right.
Once we see what the value of it is, and it's, whether it's 700 or 8,000, I just don't know what the value of it.
Right, can we, I think what I remember looking at this, and I did do the return on investment, if we found, it was like 2.5% to 3% of the water loss, it would pay for itself.
Okay.
So it's pretty small, to pay for itself.
Now you're gonna have that $700 floating around the head.
I'm gonna ask Elio to see it come down to 700.
You get 700 a month.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Maybe
good.
that was it.
All right, discuss future water projects. I
Okay.
apologize for missing that meeting.
Yeah, we had a good meeting. Just to give you a real quick recap. We're working on, right now, we didn't have it a week ago, so we'll have it before the next board meeting, but, phases. The one phase that we talked about at the meeting was putting in a PRV for downtown. That's possible. Just one PRV. We can back feed, the hard truth area with another,
Existing line.
this through existing lines and throwing some valves, open and close. So we can do that. Couple of things that, we looked at, obviously we need fire protection downtown, we need more hydrants, you need a tank, to be able to use that fire flow and fire volume. One of the things we talked about was where do you want to put the tank? We really looked at this for quite a while, and, I think you gotta put it downtown. You guys own property behind the CVS. I don't know if you want a water tank downtown or not. I think, at the time we did the report, this had been 2.5 years ago. Town council did not want it downtown. And so we put it out at Al's Garage. Remember that discussion?
I remember that.
So there's a different board.
I say put it on Village Square.
Well, if we can open it from time to time and make it a splash pad.
There you go.
Very.
So is this a tank with, or a stand pipe?
It'd be a water tower. It
The
would be like,
regular big ball at the top?
yes,
Okay.
either a leg tank or one of those golf ball type tanks, or a composite tank.
One that looks like an old water tank, a wooden water tank.
It's something like that. Be about 500,000 gallons. And, that would fight a fire downtown for about 3 hours.
What's the difference between a 500,000 gallon tank and let's say a 1 million gallon tank?
Price,
Yeah.
actually, it's not twice, it's probably 50% more. If you want with a 1 million gallon tank, what we would do in this situation is we would bid several different styles in a couple different sizes.
Yeah.
Get the actual numbers and then make a decision.
I got a picture of the number, right?
And what's the issue that we put it out by the garage is that?
It's a little shorter and it's you have to run a 12-inch main about a mile.
It's a mile.
So it saves you a mile of 12-inch main. It is a little shorter out there, but it's gonna be probably close to the same cost. There could be a lot of issues trying to run a mile of 12-inch main up there. Just right of way issues, it's horizontal board, you saw rocks.
The fire water that you need needs to go to the nursing home. And the apartments. Right, the apartments, well, I'm just saying, you got,
School.
if you had a big fire, that'd be one place you're gonna want large lines of water. So you need a line that goes from this tank out to there,
Where, that's where.
and fire hydrants out there, and then in town, wherever the tank's at, the school and hotel.
Yeah, everything.
So,
What is our, or what is this, what is the cost range for this?
Do you remember what the number we had on the?
And is this in the?
It's in the report.
Yeah.
We had it in there.
About 17 million for what conceptualized in the master plan. Now, that's the tank at Al's Garage, running water main. And some replacement of water main.
That'd be roughly the same cost if it was not Al.
Well, so we ended that workshop with an ask to relook at the phase 1 project, which is 17 million, potentially break it up to an A, B, C, smaller chunks of cost. And that's what we're currently doing.
The first phase would be the PRB. And a plan to make sure we're serving everybody on the hills. And the second would be probably the tank and some.
The main replacement.
Main
downtown.
replacement.
Part of the problem is the mains downtown are too small.
Or, we know they all need to be replaced.
Yeah, you've actually got, I know you got 3-inch lines, I think you may have, do you have 2-inch lines?
Yeah, there's some 2-inch lines,
Some 2-inch line, 3-inch.
3/4 inch line.
So where are we gonna find the 17 million?
Yeah, where are you guys gonna find 17 million?
That's a really good question.
I know we also, but I'm sorry, I was just having a thing, the tower maybe, or the tank ought to go someplace where we can put an antenna up on it too.
Yeah.
Is there any place down for the treatment facility? Do we have any room down there?
Oh, yeah, we'd have to get more.
There is a piece of property right next to the bridge.
In a perfect world, you'd have it.
I won't
Is it in a flood zone?
Don't say.
It is.
Where is it town? I thought it were be right
Going up the road there, it's a little higher up.
Something.
Depends on exactly
No,
where
you
we
can't
put
take
it.
this area.
So with that, some of the things we're looking at is other potential locations for a water tower, shoulder tower.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you just highlighted that piece of property?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Is it a big enough footprint?
you can put a tank on pretty small. Answer your question, Alan. I'm sorry.
It really wouldn't be a bad location.
No, it would be that'd be okay.
Be a nice entrance. into the town.
It would be.
Yeah.
I mean, this.
I think we can have the
Yeah.
automation,
Yeah, of course.
you know, with leaves and stuff. Yeah, I think that'd be so
All kinds
pretty.
of.
I mean, that's better than behind the CVS.
Yeah.
It would say, I love a parade.
Yeah, hey, there you
And
go.
Christmas.
Yes.
And Christmas.
Grinch on it.
But again, back to this is exciting, but where are we gonna find the 17 million?
You currently have an application already in SRF.
Number 47. Right?
You're in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Yes.
But SRF is out of money for the foreseeable.
You're
future.
probably not gonna get financed through SRF unless you go through the, pool financing. Depends on what everybody grabs. It's very variable. We don't know. More than likely, you're gonna have to get bond financing. And that's what we're working with Jarrod on. Once we get these options, we get them set up and put maybe timeframes on them.
Yeah.
We're asking Jarrod to give us what the impact of the rates are.
Didn't Jarrod say somewhere between 4 and 5? Something like that.
The percent loan, yes.
Yeah.
On the loan, but not.
The interest rate loans.
Yeah.
The little bit of homework I've done tells me one thing. Jared, I guess if we borrowed 17 million, 30 years, 5%, we would need a 71% rate increase. That's just, and what Jarrod was here, he said, well, Kramer, you don't understand. You have to have cash reserve and build up stuff. You can't just go run on the edge. And he guessed it would be like a 90% rate increase. And so anyway you slice it, you're looking at 70 to 90% rate increase, meaning you're gonna double. Okay. Now, the other part of the phase one, well, phase two is another 14 million and there's other stuff. And so really, if you read the master plan, it's not 17 million, it's like 33 million. And so if you borrow 17 million for 30 years, you're gonna need to do the other stuff for 30 years. So now you're talking about doubling, tripling the rates, present rates, which we're not gonna wanna do. And then the other takeaway for me was if you don't have 17 million and you decide you want to do, well, let's do it in phases, A, B, C, D. Unless you have money in the bank that you can go spend, which we don't. I think on the water side, we have 5, 6, 7 months worth of extra money, and if you turn the tap off on the income coming in, you could survive. Anyway, if you said, okay, well, we don't have 17 million, so let's do 2 million this year, 30 million next year, and 2 million and 2 million. Since you're financing it for 30 years, all you're really doing is saying, well, 10 years from now, we require to borrow $20 million, then the rates will double. And so there is no escape of huge rate increases. And so then you think to yourself, in my own mind, I think, okay, Darlene, are you willing to pay? And Darlene is going to say no. And then the other little bit of homework I did, which is I created a little map where we have 800 sewer customers and 1,400 water customers. And if I added up everybody from kind of Orchard Hill out to the Nazarene Church, guess what? It's about 800, which that's kind of where the sewer's at, we know. Okay, so now if I'm gonna double the rate increase for the 600 customers that are either in Belmont or Somerset or Freeman Ridge, let's ask them what they think about doubling the rate for our water.
For just downtown.
For just downtown, and so what's the answer gonna be? No. For them, if they get the vote, and there are customers too. We've got to at least think about it, and then. Even if we said we doubled the rate, well, how much does Jimmy Kramer pay? I pay $110 a month, $60 for sewer, $50 for water, so we're gonna double Jimmy Kramer's rates. $50 a month more for me is a cell phone or cable TV or 3 subscriptions or whatever. So could I afford that? Yeah. Can one of the little old ladies that came in here that's living on $1,100 a month of Social Security, maybe she can. But that's just me and the residential users doubling. But when you look at the top,
Look at the nursing home.
look at the top, I ran some numbers and on our 1.6 million of metered sales coming in for the 100 million that we sell. By the way, if we take 100 million gallons, divide by 365, 275 gallons, 275,000 gallons. So a 500,000 gallon tank is going to be 2 times what we use every day, just as a gauge, separate question. But at any rate, the state park uses, out of our 100 million, state park uses 19 million. They only pay us $98,000 a year, which is about 6% of our income. They have a special rate. We know why. But the top 45 customers we have, and who are those? It's not hard to figure out who they are. It's not Alicia or me or Tom. It's Pam Cole, Brown County Inn, nursing home, hotel. But the top 45, top 44, because I threw the state park out, they use 35% of our water and they pay 31% of sales. And all the other people use 46% of the water and pay 63% of the cost. But I guess where I'm headed is, even if take out 50 people, that means there's out of 1,400, there's 1,350 people. If we double their rates, it's $50 a month. People will scream and moan, but they can handle it. But when you talk about the top 50 people that are generating $500,000 of a $1.6 million income, doubling that, right? Those top 50 people are gonna, they're the ones that receive the benefit of the firework. They're the ones that, in theory, should pay for it. But even if you can swallow the pill that says you're going to double or triple rate for the next 10 years, part of it is going to come down to who's paying for it. Why should they? I mean, so you got to, our system is unique. I don't know how you do it.
Well, one of the things that we talked about was, and we're working on this as well with Jarrod, is to draw a square around the downtown area and call that fire zone or whatever you want to call it, fire protection zone. And then those people get some sort of surcharge on the water rate. So we're looking at that as well.
The red zone.
The red zone, the benefit zone, so to speak.
I don't know. I just don't know what you do.
Well, we got to model a couple of different scenarios and, never
I
mind.
don't know where you find the money.
I mean, and the other question is, I mean, on the sewer project, we were able to keep some of that lower because we found some zero interest, some,
Yeah, so it's up to you on this too.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, and I guess my other thought on that is, do we think this money is going to be cheaper and easier to get in the future? Or is this as cheap and as easy as it's going to get? right? Because as far as breaking out the projects, right, we had to bond 17, if we had to bond 17 million, but we think in 6 years, we're gonna be able to get one of these zero interest deals like they did last time to keep going.
I thought we did those games. Maybe it's.
Well, I just think it's worth considering how expensive is money now versus how expensive is money gonna be. Yeah, and I don't know the answer to that question. Yeah, absolutely, but we know that, a few years ago, we were able to get cheap money. And that had a much better impact on our sewer rate payers. So I think it's something that we still need to model the different scenarios and look at the options that are available and see what we can find. I like the phased approach, because I'd like to see us actually do something other than.
Right.
Get
bogged down in some.
Yeah, keep bogging down and I would like to see what we think the PRVs, what does that cost and is there any benefit to it, or is it just a distraction?
It'll benefit downtown for sure.
Hang on.
It'll benefit downtown.
It'll benefit downtown from a pressure standpoint.
Pressure.
All that does is destroy your, what existing fire coverage you have downtown.
Yeah, makes fire coverage maybe worse.
Yeah.
The leak volume would probably reduce as well. So.
It's a mixed bag.
So you said Jarrod is working on numbers for this now?
We're working on the options with dollar amounts. And then
He brainstorming financing.
we're giving that to Jarrod. He's gonna work on,
The biggest benefit to having the phases, whether you can afford them or not, whether if you still borrow the money for 10, 30 years, then 10 years down the road, and then you need more things. The biggest advantage to the phases is if they make sense of what you would go do to provide a benefit. At some point in time, I don't know that the four of us are gonna say, we approve spending $17 million and doubling the rates, and the town council's gonna do it, right? Somehow you're gonna have to go to Darlene and say, Darlene, what do you wanna do?
What do you want to do,
Darlene? These 14 people. And ask them what they want to do, sort of. And so how do you, by having some phases on what you could do and what it would mean rate increase wise, at least it can be made public. And then, I don't know.
We need to be able to justify why we need to raise the rates, right? If you ask me, can I double your rates? I'm gonna say, well, that's stupid. But if you can say, we're gonna need to double your rates in order
Michelle
to.
Kreitzer says, do you have to spend 17 million? Can you spend 1.7 million? 3 million, 5 million? Somebody's gonna ask the question. Is that the best use of our money? And isn't there a less expensive rate way? And so having at least in phases or some kind of steps, then you can gauge public appetite for what they want to do.
you're right, Jim.
And that's what we're working on now, right?
We're working on that now. We'll have that, in time, week before the next board.
Awesome.
You guys will have a chance to chew on it.
Anything else on future water projects? All right, one new business. So there were 2 people that applied for our open position on board. Dave and I talked about it.
2 people?
2 people.
Oh, I handed one of mine away. I thought they were the same.
We had
Sorry,
Sarah
I handed
and
that to me.
David.
That had to die.
When Dave and I talked about it, I suggested that we as a board could interview them and just gauge what their interest level and why they want to help us. So what I would like to suggest is that we set up a meeting and invite probably them in 20-minute increments. So it's kind of a one at a time thing, assuming we can do this under the public meeting laws or whatever, because assuming you can do this as a closed video meeting, because I've heard to talk to them one at a time. Sure.
I think I can do, but it's.
Yeah, it should be exactly what we're interviewing. They should follow that. So, so what I would ask us to do is to interview these 2, and then we can make a recommendation to the council as to who we think. And maybe we just say no recommendation, they're both great, because you guys flip the coin. But my thought thought is I'd like to, for us to at least vet to the two to make sure that they know what they're getting themselves into, and we know why they want to get themselves into it.
It might be more qualified as fire.
No.
There you go.
Fire.
So if everybody's okay with that, then I'll get with, Sandy and Phyllis, I guess, and they, see what some times are available for them, and then put something on the calendar here in the next few weeks, before our next meeting. Well, probably try to do it quick so that we can get it back to town council before y'all's next meetings.
Which would be
Next week.
Next week, next Thursday.
All right, so let's see how quick we can get them. Yeah.
So do you want it on the agenda, the council agenda?
If we can, I mean, I can be available to have a conversation with them between now and then, so if they're available, I think we can probably do it. Do you want me to just reach out to the two of them? I got their email addresses on here, so.
I'm not here Monday and Tuesday, so I'm hosting the town council agenda today, so
What?
Okay.
if you guys want that on there.
Would you guys be available Monday or Tuesday? Sure, we can get something set up, so.
So she probably will be.
I'm familiar with one, but not the other.
All right, so yeah, let's put it on the agenda. I'll reach out to both of them, today and see if I can get them to meet with us sometime on Monday. Okay.
Sounds good.
Anything else we need to talk about?
I think we should be having a wheelchair.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Ready.
Who was second?
Okay.
I don't know, I think I first, second, third, and fourth this.